Hey everybody, welcome back to Clipboard Cars, where today we have a 2026 Ram 2500 Laramie. Let's get into it. Now in this video, we're going to show you 5 exterior features as well as 5 interior features. Then we'll show you the vehicle wide open, and then we'll go ahead and take it for a drive, give you our thoughts and impressions. Now the first exterior detail I want to cover are the power running boards. Open the door and they automatically deploy. It's a really nice feature to have. The next exterior detail I want to cover is the redesigned front end of this truck. It looks super good. Lots of LED lights everywhere. The next exterior feature I want to cover is the 360 cam on this truck. It is super good, very clear. Honestly, if you're out on the job site and you're trying to back up or get the vehicle maneuvered around, you're going to definitely see everything that you're driving around, and definitely going to keep the paint on this truck hopefully a little less scratched than normal. The next exterior feature I want to cover is what makes this truck different from a General Motors vehicle or Ford, and that is a coil sprung rear end on this suspension. That will provide for a better on-road driving feel, but it will kind of decrease the amount of payload that you can have in the back of this thing. The next exterior detail I want to cover is this rear step that deploys from the rear bumper, and it helps you step up, get into the bed of the Ram. This has been around for a long time, but it is a very useful feature to have. It's a little bit jarring how extreme it is to put it back into place, because it slams back in, but it won't deploy while you're going down the road, that's for sure. First interior detail I want to touch on is the 12-inch gauge cluster. It is a full digital screen, as well as the 14.5-inch infotainment screen that is super cool. Just really makes this interior look very high-end. And it's also compatible with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The next feature I want to touch on is the charging capabilities that you have from the center console. There are 2 dual wireless chargers, as well as a plethora of different USB A and C ports, as well as one 110 outlet at the very bottom. I also want to touch on the sound system on this Ram. Stellantis products are always good with sound systems. This is no exception to that. This has the Harman Kardon upgraded sound system in here, and it bumps. The next thing I want to talk about are the seats. They are very high-end, good leather feel, a little bit of Alcantara blended in there as well with some cool piping and stitching. These are heated, but they aren't cooled, but cooled is an option that you can get if you decide to get it. The next thing I want to touch on is the amount of storage that you have all over the interior of this Ram. The center console is just a giant tub that you can just shift things around. As far as the cup holders can go back and forth. You've got a upper tray on the center console lid that's lined in felt, so that keeps things from sliding around and making all sorts of rattly noises. You've got 2 glove boxes. You got an upper one and a lower one. All the doors have huge pockets in them with additional spongy cup holders. And then the back seats have cup holders as well with door pockets. And on top of that, you've got Ram boxes in the floor that have water drains. So you can put ice in the back seat, in the floor, have your drinks cool when you're out on the job site. All right, we are driving the 2026 Ram 2500 Laramie. And I'll be honest, it feels like any other work truck, but again, it feels very high end in here. The Laramie isn't the highest trim level. There are many, many trim levels of Ram 2500 that you can shop from. We'll get into that a little bit later. But so far, just driving impressions of this truck. For a heavy duty pickup, I really like the way this thing rides. It's really good. It shifts really smooth. I can definitely feel all of that torque that this Cummins engine has. With that being said, let's go ahead and talk about what engine options you can get in the Ram 2500. The first one being a gas motor, and that is a 6.4 liter Hemi V8. And it is a very good engine platform to have. And the power figures for that are 405 horsepower and 429 foot-pounds of torque. The next engine that you can get is what we have here today in this Ram, and that is the 6.7 liter Cummins inline six, and it is the engine of choice to get for this vehicle. It is a substantial upcharge to get it, so you're getting 430 horsepower and 1,075 foot-pounds of torque with this diesel motor. Both engines are mated to an all-new 8-speed transmission that people seem to be having good reviews about. I haven't had enough time behind the 2026 models to really get a feel for it, but there's only been a few complaints, and I really don't think they are with the 8-speed, but some people have been complaining about transmission fatigue when it's under load, that it is getting too hot, there's not proper cooling for it. But again, I really don't think that was for this new 8-speed, because everybody else that I've spoken to that already has one of these or has a lot of development with this truck, they really seem to like this new engine and transmission setup. So when it comes to overall working performance, which we're talking about towing capacity and payload capacity, this Cummins has a 20,000 pound towing capacity, which I think is really good. The payload capacity for the Cummins version is 3,600 pounds in the bed. Again, that's a lot of hauling in the bed. When it comes to the 6.4 liter Hemi V8, the towing capacity for that is going to be 17,750 pounds. And the payload capacity for the bed is going to be 3,930 pounds, which again, that's a ton of weight to be hauling around just in the bed of this truck alone. Now, when it comes to special things that separate the Ram lineup from the other two, which that's probably why you're watching this video, you're trying to figure out, should I get the Super Duty? Should I get the Ram? Should I get the GM 2500? If you get the 8-foot bed in this truck, you can get a gas tank option that is up to 50 gallons of fuel. And that's a pretty good range. However, if you get the standard fuel tank, I believe it's 31 or 32 gallons, which again, still very good, enough to get you about 500 miles of range. One of the cool optional features that you can get with this truck from the factory is that you can get an airbag set up for the rear coil springs. That helps with is if you have a heavy load in the bed for the payload, or if you have a heavy trailer, you can hit a switch from the inside of the cab here and it'll actually bring up the rear end of the truck and keep it nice and level. Another cool option that you can get with this truck is the trailer steering control module, and that is a little dial that you can use to help back up trailers. If you're not really good at backing up trailers, or if you struggle to back a boat into a boat launch, I would highly recommend getting that feature. Another cool optional feature that you can get that is, again, this truck is geared towards people that are towing, pulling heavy loads and all that kind of stuff, is that you can get the trailer tire pressure reading straight through the dash, which is a pretty cool feeling. I've had numerous tires blow going down the highway, and it was just kind of one of those things where I just failed to check the tire pressure and all that kind of stuff. It's just one of those things. It's nice to have that feature. As well as the gauge readout. There's a specific gauge readout that you can put where it just shows you entirely what you need for temperatures for everything. And that's going to come in handy when you're in places like Colorado or somewhere really high in elevation where you're doing a lot of different climbs and stuff like that. Now, this next feature isn't equipped on this Laramie, and I don't know if you can actually get it on the Laramie, but there is a cool rear view mirror setup where you can have 3 different camera angles showing up on the rear view mirror, which I think is cool. It'll show you both your blind spots on the sides as well as the center camera looking back. The 360 camera is actually able to accommodate your whole trailer setup as well, so it'll actually pull up your entire moving radius with the truck and trailer included to help make sure you don't run into things. One thing that is cool though for the Laramie or any Ram 2500 that has the tech package is that you can pair it to the Ram app, and so you can do a remote start from anywhere you want. You can unlock the vehicle. Say you've got a guy across the job site that's trying to get into your truck to grab some tools that you left behind, and then they're like, dude, you left you know, your truck's locked, can't get in. Instead of having them run all the way back across the job site to you know, grab the keys from you and get back in the truck, you can just go right from your phone, boom, unlock it, they're good to go. Say you actually go to park this truck at the airport and you forgot where you parked, the parking garage. Guess what? Instead of Find My Phone, you got Find My Ram. That's in the app, and it'll find your truck and it'll guide you right to where you left it. The bed on this Ram has the optional 400-watt inverter, which allows you to plug in and operate whatever tools you need to run. Again, I would highly recommend getting the Cummins diesel model because the diesel is just really good at idling and keeping that power steady, power all of that stuff back there. This does have a dual alternator setup to go with it, which is going to be very helpful for powering a lot of the electronics on this truck. If there's one thing that Ram owners love, it's their tow mirrors. I currently have them fully in, which I know is a sin. However, they do have the convex mirrors, which really do help with the blind spot monitoring, as well as monitoring if you're towing something back there. You have clear visual sight of it just with a regular mirror by itself, not having to use any of these fancy cameras that come on it. If you option this truck with a 360 camera and you hit the turn signal, it'll actually pop up in the center screen. It'll actually pull up that camera that shows you a clear spot of your blind spot. Again, I think the mirrors do a good enough job showing you what's back there, but just to really cover your bases, there's a camera that's also looking there as well. Again, if you're cross-shopping this to the Ford Super Duty, or you're cross-shopping this to a Chevy 2500 or GMC 2500, I think that the Ram comes in with the best price tag for all the technology that you can get with it. And I believe it actually comes in about 10 grand cheaper to a comparable Super Duty. So again, if you're shopping for one of these, if you're a diehard Ford guy, I understand you're not going to be looking at a Ram, but it might be worth saving a few extra bucks just to take a look at one of these. So we'll talk about the cons list for this truck, and it's not many, and it's a little bit subjective, and it's too early to really tell what the bugs and issues are for this truck. The first one being that there is a recall already set out about this truck, but it's very minor. So the brake service light comes on, and it's not really anything wrong with the brakes or anything like that. One of those electrical things that just happens when you have so much going on in these new vehicles. The next thing that I think could be a con, but maybe longevity-wise might be a pro, I don't know, is that these trucks really don't look any different than the old trucks. If you look at it from the side profile, it's the exact same truck. If you look at it from the front, it looks a little bit different, a little bit cooler with the new headlight package. The taillights, while they are new, they're literally the same thing. So if you want to just keep the same look going on and on and on, and it never goes out of style because Ram never really changes things for styling, it could be a pro for you. There could be a cooling issue with the transmission. Time will tell. Now, when it comes to the 6.4 liter Hemi that you can get as the base model option for this truck, I think it could be prone to the well-known Hemi tick where you have a lifter issue. I don't think that engine has been updated or changed at all for the 2026 model year, so that will be something to think about, but it won't be until about 50 to 70,000 miles that could be an issue. So when it comes to pricing, I'm only going to cover the starting prices of some of these trim levels, and there's a ton of trim levels. I'm not going to list them all, but the low end, medium, and then we'll go to the most expensive. So the low end, you're looking at the tradesman model, and that starts at $45,950. Not terrible, but that is like a base, bare bones, single cab, long bed. I am just purely here to get the job done kind of truck. Next up, we're looking at the Bighorn trim level where you get a few more creature comforts, but not many, and that's going to be starting at $50,000. The starting price for the Laramie trim level, which is what we're in right now, is $62,000 roughly, and this one as equipped is quite a bit more because we got a lot of tech packages and stuff lined up in this. So the next trim level that I want to cover is my favorite trim level, and that is the Power Wagon version, which is their more off-road oriented trim level, and that starts at $72,400. Now the range topping Longhorn Limited trim level starts out at $74,000. That's a lot of money, but at the same time, it gets more. So when we went through the configurator and tried to spec out every option that you could get, I think we were sitting at about $101,000, which it's a lot of money for a pickup truck, but that just seems to be the going rate these days for a heavy duty truck. It's wild. Driving inside this truck, again, I feel like king of the road. I've got this huge hood. It's got the sport hood on it. I got these heat extractor vents that are looking right at me. I can even see the 2500 badge from here, just reminding me that I bought the big boy. So let's kind of cover the interior. So we've got these really comfortable seats. I really think that they are well designed for if you're wearing heavy, Carhartt jackets, pants and stuff. The materials on this feel like they're going to hold up great to that. Again, we've got this really awesome center console setup that is just completely set up for a job site. It's just a giant tub to really get all your stuff taken care of. You got the cup holders, you've got a small tray that shifts back and forth. Ahead of that, again, we've got the dual wireless chargers. We got a ton of ports here for charging for USB A and C options. Going up from there, we have auxiliary switches that we can program things to, like if we want to add a winch or any other lights or power accessories, we have 4 auxiliary switches right there. And again, we've got this awesome infotainment system that's just a big screen. It is new for this year and it's really fast. It's got the Uconnect 5 system. Behind that, you've got a little cubby setup here for change, sunglasses, whatever. And again, the sound system in this truck is really, really good. This is a very good value, I would say. I know that we're talking a lot of money here. Like, I think the sticker price on this truck as optioned is like $75,000. That's a lot of money to really think about. But if you're looking in comparison to a Chevy or a Ford, it's still gonna come in cheaper for everything that you have equipped here. I'm not really in the mindset of spending that much on a work truck, but if you really think about it, if this truck is your whole life when it comes to your work command center and all that kind of stuff, it is nice to have some creature comforts to really enjoy your work day. So that's going to wrap up this episode of Clipboard Cars. Tell me what you guys think. Would you choose a Ram 2500 over a Ford F250 or a GM 2500? Personally, I need to get more seat time in the other two, but I've spent a lot of time in Super Duties and they are very nice trucks that could be worth the extra price tag. But overall though, I'm really impressed with this Ram. I really hope this new 8-speed transmission works for them, because that's always been the problem with Ram heavy duty trucks, is that the transmission has just always been that weak point. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel. Let me know in the comments again, what kind of heavy duty truck would you go for if you had to have something for everyday life and the job site? We'll see you guys for the next one.